Hey everybody, it is Garrett, otherwise known as Gitronist on the channel, and I wanted to review an album called Somewhere Far Beyond by Blind Guardian. It is their fourth album, released on the 29th of June in 1992. Now, this album is effectively quintessential Blind Guardian power metal type music. Like, if you've heard of Blind Guardian, you've probably heard of this album, if not like the main highlight song on the record, which not necessarily the main highlight, but the one they play at like every show they've probably done since time immemorial, ever since this album was released. It is called the Bard's Song, and it starts out with one part in the forest. These songs of hobbits, dwarves. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sing. And then they go into the Bard's Song Part 2, which is The Hobbit. Now, the rest of the album, though, is definitely worth listening to as well. I really enjoy listening to Somewhere Far Beyond. And the reason why is I think, in addition to it being like the longest song, longest track on the record, and having a lot of different cool shifts, it's about Stephen King's, the gunslinger from Stephen King's The Dark Tower trilogy. I feel like it has a lot of interesting dynamics within the verses and chorus, and a lot of the guitar solos. I think that Somewhere Far Beyond has Andres Ulbrich. I hope I pronounced his name right. It has a lot of his best guitar leads and harmonies and solos in particular on Somewhere Far Beyond. And in addition to that, it also has like a breakdown section with bagpipes in the middle of it, which you really can't go wrong with bagpipes, especially when they're in a heavy metal album. But this album is just, yeah, this album is basically classic Blind Guardian. I think right next to its follow up, Nightfall in Middle Earth, it's effectively the album that I think if you were to ask somebody to name any Blind Guardian music, they would tell you Somewhere Far Beyond or Nightfall in Middle Earth, which just so happens to be about based on the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. But that is a video for another time. So, yeah, this record is definitely kind of like classic Blind Guardian, or at least the more it's the more mature sound of classic Blind Guardian, because they originally started as this some type of like speed metal band, and they were already referencing fantasy lyrics even on their first record. By their second record, which was Follow the Blind, they were starting to expand and head into more, I guess you would say, like what we traditionally remember the band as. Valhalla is the big track on Follow the Blind, but this one is the Bard song. The rest of them are also pretty cool too. Time, What is Time? It is a song set in the Blade Runner universe from the perspective of a replicant. Journey Through the Dark, you have Black Chamber, Theater of Pain, The Quest for Tanalorn. I think a lot of those reference Michael Moorcock and a lot of his works and characters. You also have Spread Your Wings, which is a cover of a Queen song. It's that Queen song is basically about working in a bar and wanting to not work in that bar or that restaurant anymore and going off and being an awesome musician, which definitely Blind Guardian did if they ever worked in restaurants. But anyways, and then Trial by Fire is about the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, like I said, oh, and this one also, the record also has a reworked version of Theater of Pain. And yeah, it's not really much else to say other than that. If you want to get started with Blind Guardian, I would suggest starting with Somewhere Far Beyond. Then move into Nightfall in Middle Earth and kind of the rest of the discography. Scalds and Shadows is another good one. I know that their later records don't get as much, I think, vindication from listeners, although maybe that's not the case. I don't exactly know. But I will say Scalds and Shadows is another good one to listen to by them, as is Beyond the Red Mirror. In fact, why don't you just set aside the week and listen to all of their albums? That's a better idea, including the Twilight Orchestra one. The Disneyification of their orchestra doesn't stop me from listening to it. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. See y'all.